Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be showing you how I get a flawless base for my makeup. I think I did this video like a long time ago, but it's changed quite a bit. I definitely go for more natural, more, not shimmery, but dewy, not necessarily dewy. What do I wanna say? Like a natural shimmer to the skin. Very healthy looking, very healthy glow. So that's what I'm gonna be focusing on. It's going to be really natural looking coverage. It's not gonna be super full, lightweight products. Just focus on glowing skin. All right guys, so if you wanna see how I get my flawless base, keep watching. All right, so I'm gonna start off by priming my face and I'm gonna be using the Tarte Brighter Days Moisturizer. This is technically a moisturizer, but I like using it as a primer. I actually don't know what the ingredients are, but it does contain a little bit of a pearl. So I like to use this on the high points of my face when I want to just create more of a glowy look. That's what I've been into recently, but my skin does pull towards oily. So if you're on the drier side, you could use this all over your face, or I like using the Ready Set Radiant Spray by Tarte. Another great option is MAC Fix Plus, and all of those things will add a really nice plump and moisturized look to your skin. If you are oily, I would stay away from that. What I like about this is because it's a primer or moisturizer, I apply it with a brush and you have a little bit more control over where it goes. So rather than a spray where you can get like in your T-zone, I place it on just the high points and it adds like a nice natural looking glow without like making the rest of my face look oily. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on my Morphe G40 brush. This is just like a little precision foundation brush, and I put kind of a lot on because I like the way I look. Can you just see that? Anyway, I'm just gonna be hitting my cheekbones, around my temples and my eyebrows. So my skin is feeling pretty moisturized right now. I just took a shower and moisturized my face. I use the Simple Replenishing Moisturizer. Typically, if I waited a little bit longer, like if I took a shower a few hours ago and then I was gonna be doing my makeup, I would probably go in with a primer all over my face, but it feels pretty hydrated. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna be focusing those areas. So I am gonna go in with a light layer of foundation. This is something that is, I think, really important. Having had experience with bad skin in the past, I was definitely guilty of going in with a ton of heavy coverage when it comes to my foundation. The best thing to do is go in with a light layer of foundation. The point of your foundation is just to color correct. It's basically just to make sure that everything matches. And then you go in with a heavier concealer in the areas where you need fuller coverage. And then if you do that, it kind of creates the illusion of really natural looking skin. People aren't going to notice where there's heavier coverage because the rest of your face is going to look really natural. I'm gonna start off by just going in and doing the color correcting. And I'm gonna be using the Fenty Beauty foundations. I'm kind of in between a tan right now, so I'm gonna be mixing 140 and 350. I'm just gonna use like a tiny dab of 350 because it's really dark. And then the lighter I get, the more olive I need, or the less tan I have. So I'm gonna be adding just a little bit of the NYX color correcting liquid in green, just like a tiny little bit, like a pea-sized amount. And I just mix that up on the back of my hand. It might be a little bit too light. It does oxidize a little bit darker though. Now I'm just gonna go for it and then I can correct it with bronzer. And then I'm just gonna, oh no, it's too light. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Just a tiny bit more of the 350. And then I'm just gonna be going in with my damp beauty sponge. This is a beauty blender. This is my favorite way to apply foundation. I think that this probably made the biggest difference when it came to foundation. I don't even remember how I first did it when I did it. I used to use a stick foundation by Sonia Kashuk when I first started wearing foundation because it was the most yellow looking foundation I could find. And I don't even remember how I would blend it out. Maybe I used a brush. But this gives the most natural coverage in my opinion using a damp beauty sponge. I know that this is a favorite for a lot of people. And I like to make sure that I'm covering my whole face with whatever I just placed down. So I placed down a little bit in like my cheek area and my forehead. And I'm just gonna make sure that that's all blended out. And then if there are areas that look a little bit thin, I can kind of like add a little bit of coverage, or if there are areas that need a little bit more coverage, typically I get it around like my neck and my jawline. I need a little bit more coverage. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This is my favorite concealer because it is a matte finish, so it sets itself. It's not too matte where it doesn't end up being like way too dry. It's not like a super heavy or thick concealer like an Anastasia pot concealer or like a Becca concealer. Those are better for if you have like really bad acne and you need to cover up certain spots or darkness or redness or something like that. This is great for underneath your eyes, but it does offer a lot of really nice coverage, especially if you get dark circles like me. So this is light neutral. I'm just gonna place a little bit under my eyes. I've been trying to do a little bit less concealer lately. And I do have some blemishes like in this area, and then I usually get them like around my mouth. So it just kind of works out like the areas that I wanna highlight. That's where I need a little bit more coverage. So I'm just gonna start blending that out. So these are just the areas that I want to kind of brighten up. And then obviously I need coverage underneath my eyes. If you're like me and you have creases underneath your eyes like I do, I have some pretty intense creases like right directly underneath my eyes. Try not to bring your concealer up too high because no matter what, I mean, no matter how good your concealer is, you will get creasing. And it's very difficult for me to keep concealer from getting that high. So we're looking pretty good. I don't really have any areas that need more coverage. There's like a couple spots right here, but I don't even think that you can really see them on camera. So they look pretty good to me. This base looks really nice in my opinion. So now I'm gonna go in, before I go in with my second layer of concealer and set it, I'm gonna go in with bronzer. Typically I do this after I do my brows, but I don't feel like doing them right now. So I'm going to be using the Creme Contour Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. And my favorite is the middle shade. It's definitely the most olive looking shade and it's pretty cool toned. You can use it as a contour color depending on your skin tone. It works a little bit better as a bronzer for me, so I kind of use it as like a bronzer contour. And to apply it, I use the Morphe G4 brush. You guys have seen this a lot. This is just my favorite cream brush. So I'm gonna start off by putting, just putting some product on the, I just tapped it off, it's cream. And then I'm gonna start working it around my temples, up into my hairline. I have kind of a big forehead, so I like to shade the majority of it. So I like to kind of bring this area in. And I'm using stamping motions because if you blend, if you go in circular motions, you can kind of tend to pull your foundation coverage off. So particularly if you need more coverage, or if you have blemishes or something like that, you don't want to do that. So stamping it works really well. I'm just gonna carve out my cheekbones. So I'm gonna start off by placing it in the area that I want it. I keep tapping off the brush, there's nothing to tap off. And I went in with kind of a lot of product, so I'm gonna wipe it off on, I always keep a paper towel. I'm gonna wipe it off. And then, so I put it on this way, holding the brush this way, and then I'm gonna turn it, and I'm gonna kind of like stamp it upward. So blending it up, so I'm not dragging it down. So that creates just like a really nice, natural looking contour. And then if I'm going in with like more coverage, if I want more coverage, if I'm going out at night, then I'll typically go back in with a powder and just kind of intensify that, like right in there, right in the center of the hollow of my cheek. But for today, like for daytime, I don't really do that. To most people, it probably doesn't even look like I'm wearing concealer, and I'm already wearing concealer. So I like to go in with a little bit more coverage. So I'm going to just focus it right here, because I like to highlight along the sides of my nose. And now, because I'm putting on another layer of concealer, I like to spritz my sponge with a little bit of the Tarte Ready Set Radiant Spray, just to make it a little bit more hydrated, so it doesn't end up looking too dry. And this prevents it from going on and looking cakey. This is just something that I tried doing one day and I really like the way it looks. It just keeps like, when you have really dark circles, you need a lot of coverage under there, but you don't want to be layering all these really heavy products and then have it end up looking really dry or obvious that you're wearing a ton of makeup. So this kind of helps. So I'm just focusing it right in here and along my nose. This is the area that I like to brighten up. I don't mess around with color correctors. I've been interested in trying them, but I just feel like it ends up being so many products underneath your eyes. So I don't know. If there's anything that you really, really like, let me know in the comments down below, because I would like to try them, but I'm thinking about getting, I think Becca has one that's good. And then to set underneath my eyes, I use the Kat Von D Lock It Setting Powder. This is my favorite powder of all time. I just think it's really nice. It contains like a really fine pearl, so it doesn't end up looking too matte, which is good. And what I do is I tap my brush into the product and then I tap it off into the cap, and then I go back in so that I get like a nice even layer of the product, nice light even layer of the product. So I'm gonna make sure that there's no creasing, and then go right there. So I try not to bring the powder too high or out too far. Just want to focus it in the areas where I need the coverage and I don't want it to move. So along the side of my nose and directly underneath my eye. And then I'm gonna spritz my sponge again, the other side. And then after I spritz it, I like to just kind of like pat it on my hand so that I'm not going in with way too much moisture, because if you go in, if it's too wet, it'll just take this off. I've gone through a lot of trial and error with this. All right, and then for the rest of my face, I'm just gonna make sure that I don't have any creasing up here. I'm just gonna take the tiniest, I'm doing the same thing, I'm tapping my brush. So I tap my brush into the product on the cap, and then I tap it off, and then I tap in, and then I tap it off. And that way you get like a nice even layer, but you're not going in with too much product. I'm just gonna place this right in the center of my forehead, just right in my T-zone, because that's where I tend to get oily. And then around my nose, around my mouth, just because I feel like that fades quickly. And then if there are any areas, because I do tend to get breakouts around my contour sometimes, if I am gonna be going in with powder, I will set those areas just to make sure. All right, so for everyday makeup, this is pretty much where I stop. And then if I'm going to intensify it, I like going in with my Morphe 9C palette. This has my favorite contour shade in it. This shade right here, it's really nice. It's like the only one I use from this palette pretty much. Sometimes I mix it with this one if I have more of a tan, just to warm it up a little bit. And then I'll use that to just kind of kick out my contour a little bit. So I'm just gonna show you that just cause. And I've been using this Becca brush. It's an angled brush. I believe it's for highlighting, but it's perfect for contouring. It's very, very soft. So I'm gonna tap into both of those shades I just showed you. And I make sure I really tap off my brush. And then I like to hold it like this and really, like I'm barely touching the skin, just really lightly right in the hollow. And if you're gonna be, I'm kind of doing circular motions, pushing upward. Just adding a tiny bit more and it sets the product. All right guys, so that is my base. That's pretty much what I do. I'm going to finish the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back. All right guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I really like the way my skin has been looking lately doing this routine. Like I said, you don't have to go in with a huge amount of coverage with your foundation. It's really just meant to color correct, make everything look even, and then some things that I would recommend if you do have acne and you have or you have dark spots, something that you need to conceal. I would recommend, Ben Nye has these nice color wheels. I like using this because you can mix all the colors depending on your skin tone. Anastasia, Becca, they both have, is it Cover FX? Is that what I'm thinking of? The pot concealers, they're super full coverage. They're excellent for that kind of thing. And all you need is like a tiny little brush. Let me find an example. Actually, pinpoint concealing is pretty popular, especially with Lisa Eldridge. She uses a tiny little brush like this, just like it's like a tiny little liner brush. Take a little bit of that concealer, pop it right on the blemish. You can use like a slightly larger, fluffier brush to kind of blend it out, or your finger, and then you just set it with a translucent powder. Then you have the coverage, but you don't have it all over your face. It doesn't look cakey. It keeps the rest of your skin looking natural. All right guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. You can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Don't forget to share and subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna be hitting you guys with some Halloween tutorials coming up very soon, so get excited for that. All right guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.